From a challenging and difficult beginning as an orphan child in Korea to her success as a notable chef and entrepreneur, Marja Vongerichten's passion for uniting the world through the gift of food, specifically Korean food, has endured it all. I was given the chance to spend some quality time with Marja to talk about this incredible story of heartbreak, love, family, and success. In the last part of our interview with Marja, we learn about her success reborn with her new business ventures and what passion and purpose mean to her. You'll really enjoy this particular interview and what she has to say. Soulivity Magazine presents From Korea with Love.
So that kind of leads us through to you're gonna have to pronounce it for me. Is it Shiku or
Mm-hmm.
Kiku?
CQ.
Okay, Shiku. Okay.
CQ. So we wanted to put, it's a barbecue, Korean barbecue restaurant.
Mhm.
Uh, so it's basically kimchi and barbecue, CQ.
Okay, so for the people who do not understand what kimchi is, give us the kimchi 101 introduction.
Okay, well, kimchi is just really a technique for pickling,
Okay.
right? It's a pickle.
Right.
And they have 300 different kinds of kimchi. It's our national food, and it's so interesting the history behind that. So a lot of people don't know that Korea, really, they've been enslaved longer than Africans were
Mhm.
in the States,
Mhm.
simply because Korea's on a peninsula. So you've got China above,
Mhm.
you've got the Mongolians plus Japan, and
Right.
it's really hard to kind of, protect yourself from that. So they went through centuries of being enslaved by the Chinese, Mongolians, Japanese, back and forth. So Korean food as a whole was really um, it's founded on necessity to survive the long winters. It's a preservation. It's about a lot of fermentation and preservation.
Mhm.
Um, Kimchi before like 300 or 400 years ago, there were no hot chilies um, used in kimchi.
Mm.
So the story I heard when I was in Korea from this historian was, and it makes sense, that um, at one point Japan was occupying Korea and had them enslaved. So the Portuguese missionaries were coming over from Mexico, and they brought with them these spicy hot chilies. The Japanese, as
Ah.
you know, their food is quite bland and mild and sweet, and it isn't really aggressive.
Right. It's more about texture.
Uh, exactly, which as is Korean food. But
Mhm.
um, so the Japanese thought this spicy chili was poison, and they gave it to the Koreans.
Oh
Be,
gosh.
because
So
at
give
that
it to
time,
the slaves. Gosh.
exactly. Well, hello. I mean, if you look at it, Korean food, it's made from like neck bones. It's made from
Mhm.
bones. I mean, it's really so. I call it the soul food of Asia.
Exactly.
It really
Yes.
is. I mean, it's there's a lot of similarities between that and American soul food. So at that time, salt was like gold.
Mhm.
It was very expensive at that time, and the Koreans needed to preserve food for themselves to live. So they found these chilies were able to preserve the food through these uh, winter months. So that's kind of where the whole kimchi thing. It's served at every meal.
So
Um, it's
so
it's got a lot of probiotics.
mhm. Mhm.
It's got a lot of vitamin C. It is also used and eaten with every meal to kind of cut back on the fat. So as you're eating barbecue, which is more common now than it was even 30, 40 years ago, because meat was very expensive,
Mm-hmm.
because Korea is very mountainous, so there's not a lot of grazing land.
Right.
So really meat was left for the upper echelon. Um, but anyway, kimchi is eaten kind of like vitamins and also to help break down food and provide good bacteria for your intestines.
Wow. So for everyone that may hear or read this, they need to understand that kimchi is not a quote unquote thing, period. Like, oh, that's kimchi. Kimchi is a process that's used for a bunch of different things, and that you can
Vegetables, yeah.
vegetables.
It's
Yeah.
a it's a preservation technique. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So now everybody's enlightened now. So what does it feel
Yeah.
now to like you're doing this great restaurant now that is, from what I've read, has rave reviews, where you're
Yeah,
bring
really great reviews.
where it's almost funny. It's, and this is true in, I guess, most foods nowadays, where peasant food is now
Yep.
the great thing. It's like the next,
Right.
and people will
Mhm.
pay a lot of money for what was, the food of slaves. You know.
Right. Right. Um, yeah, it's interesting. Korean, when we open our restaurant, and JG and I are partners in this restaurant.
Hmm.
When we opened the restaurant, it was kind of a hard sell to the Chinese to be spending $60 per person for food they could get in their Koreatown for like $20.
Hmm.
But we had to, we have all our meats coming from New Zealand and Australia, the best meat, organic ingredients.
Hmm.
Um, Not to mention, we've got the most amazing cocktails, the biggest soju bar I think in China. Um, so it's all the training, it's all the elements, it's the quality of the food, the way in which it's prepared, the fact that our staff is completely knowledgeable and in explaining, as well as it's really kind of like tableside service. You don't even have to grill your own meat there. They're paying for the whole experience. So in the beginning, it was like, I had to explain in a lot of interviews, why would somebody come here to pay $60 to get the same dish, you know, somewhere
Right.
else? So
Right.
it was a bit of a challenge, but the people that were in the know, the expats, the people um, who patronize those, uh, restaurants over there, really kind of got it. So we're lucky it's done so well.
You're spreading
So,
you're spreading the value and the knowledge and history of your birthplace.
well, just in China now, but
Yeah.
hopefully it will kind of take off,
Right.
um, and we can open more. So we'll see.
Yeah. I'm hopeful.
Hmm.
I'll put some hope in there and some prayer on that one.
Yeah.
So what?
Funnily enough, oh,
No, go ahead.
sorry.
No, go for
Um,
it.
so JG's partner in Japan, who I've known a long time, she came to the opening at TQ. I was there.
Hmm.
She's obsessed with kimchi. So she said she tried my kimchi and she was like, "Oh my God, you should bottle this." And I said, "Well, whenever you're ready, let me know." So about 3 months later, she contacted me. She said, "I found somebody for you."
I'm ready. I'm letting you know.
Yeah, yep. So she has a colleague who has a organic food business in Japan. The funny thing is, he produces it in Fukuoka, Japan, which is like the southwest tip
Hmm.
of Japan,
Hmm.
and it's about 2 hours by boat ferry to Busan. Now, he owns 32 restaurants in Japan. He has a hotel and some wedding chapels, and he goes to Busan every month to buy light bulbs for his businesses because they're too expensive in Japan. So he absolutely loves and is obsessed with Korean food and wanted to start producing kimchi.
Hmm.
So, the Japanese are notorious as far as Koreans are concerned about stealing some of their cultural, uh, what would you call it? I don't know, things, food, artifacts, things like that, and kind of claiming it as their own. Kimchi is quite popular in Japan. It's just that I've tasted it all over Japan. It misses the mark completely. They miss the whole, yeah, it's just not
No-
anything near Korean food. So I went to go meet with him and see his facility. He works with a lot of organic local small farms in Japan and produces all these amazing, he's got a food line that's been in this family for generations. So he asked if I would want to do a Korean line with him, which I agreed. So we made a ceremony of it. He came to Shanghai and we signed there. So I'm producing a line of Korean products, which are mostly sauces and kimchi and
Wow.
seasonings
Mhm.
called Marja's Original.
All right.
So we're at the point where a lot of things are even bred to be a lot milder in Japan. Citrus doesn't have the pungency, or garlic doesn't have the pungency that Korean garlic has. So I've talked with him about working with Korean farmers to bring over seedlings to grow those Korean plants on his farms in Japan. So
What?
to kind of create a bridge, um, because there have been a lot of tense relations between Japan and Korea for
Mhm.
a plethora of reasons.
Mhm.
But I feel really excited to kind of educate um, people worldwide, but as well as create a bridge between Korea and Japan through food, which I feel is a great catalyst um, to learn one's culture. Um,
So
you know,
the so your
short
next
that.
your next step is you an ambassador liaison between Japan and Korea.
That would be nice.
That's
So
very cool.
I've trademarked in Japan and China, and I'm waiting for my trademark in the States, and then we're going to slowly branch out to other countries. So yeah, now we're in the process of, it's hard because I have to ship the samples based on the recipes that I sent and taught them. I have to ship them here so I can taste it, and then we're doing now we're doing packaging and sizing and all those things. So it's exciting. It takes a while, but
Mhm.
it's a good process.
Wow. Wow, Marja. So this is where your life stands now. How do you feel about, how far you've come? Or do you even or does that even resonate with you?
Um, yeah, no, I mean, I started with this show that happened out of nowhere, and then I did a cookbook, and it gave me some validity, um, in terms of my knowledge of Korean food, and yeah, I look at it, and it's been really quite a journey. I'm proud of myself
Mhm.
um, for being able to take something that is such a passion that it doesn't feel like I'm ever working a day.
Wow. So let me throw out, since you said passion, what is passion, that word? What does that mean to you?
Passion, wow, that's a good question. Passion is something for me. It gives me a feeling of, there's no second guessing or hesitating. I kind of jump in there. It's
Mhm.
limitlessly interesting. I want to know more. I want to grow more. It's something that I nurture and care about. Um, Korean food, when you really get into the basics and the ingredients that you use, it really takes time and care.
Mhm.
There's this one crab dish that I am obsessed with. It's a raw marinated crab, and it literally takes 3 days to make. So you have to, um, you have to prepare the crabs from a live state.
Mm-hmm.
You have to boil the sauce that it's going to go in, cool that down, pour it over the crab, refrigerate it. The next day you have to take it out, drain it, reboil that sauce again, cool it down, put it back. I mean, you have to do this numerous times over days, and it's to make sure that there's no bacteria in there that could kill you, um, but also it deepens the flavor as well. So I love the process of um, just Korean food in general, preparing it, thinking about it, planning for it. Like I said, it doesn't feel like work. And when I've accomplished a dish or I've made 20 heads of kimchi,
Mm-hmm.
um, it feels so rewarding at the end to see all those containers full. Even though I'm exhausted, I would get up the next morning and do it again. You know.
Wow.
So for me, that's passion. It's something you don't ever give up on. You find new interest and love and um, excitement about it the more you learn
Wow.
and the more you do.
So that leads me to my second question. What does purpose mean to you?
Hmm.
What does it feel like? That might be even a better question.
Purpose feels like you have a task or you have a mission with an end goal,
Mm-hmm.
and you dedicate yourself to all the steps it takes to reach that end goal. And not that it necessarily means it needs to be an end goal for you personally.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I feel with my years now, teaching Korean cooking classes, speaking at various things about my story, about Korean culture. I found that my purpose is to, educate people on something that is very near and dear to my heart. And not only that, I'm teaching people how to eat better.
Mm.
It's like it's Korean food has so many health benefits, and that's why I say it's medicinal. So to have somebody who, for instance, I got a message on Facebook. It was this old 70-year-old Caucasian man.
Mm-hmm.
He was celebrating his 50th wedding anniversary with his wife, and they lived in like freaking Utah.
Hmm.
They drove 2.5 hours to the next state to the closest H Mart just to go buy Korean ingredients because they'd seen my show. And they wanted to start eating a bit healthier. And they took my book along and got everything, and I had pictures in there. And, you think about the Midwest, especially with all this craziness going on with middle America and this whole Trump thing.
Mm-hmm.
To think that somebody in their 70s who's probably grown up in Utah all their life, probably has had limited exposure to other people from different cultures, to, through my story, be inspired enough to, on their 50th wedding anniversary, to go drive 2.5 hours just to go grocery shopping. That's my purpose,
Wow.
to bring people together, to, maybe, um, change the way they think about life, not just people and cultures, but, also eating. This world is so small now.
Right.
We can't ignore each other. And I think food is a great vehicle for people to learn a bit more about each other. So to make it accessible and something that's interesting, and especially a country which is so foreign to so many people, to see my brown face as
Mm-hmm.
somebody that you trust, to show you how to eat and introduce you to my culture. That's my purpose there.
Wow.
Because we're all actually so the same. It's just different clothes and different seasonings.
I like that.
But fundamentally, we're the same.
Wow, I
You
like
know.
that. I like that a lot. Different seasoning. I like that. That's
Yeah.
cool. One last question.
Mhm.
So you have this beautiful girl, Chloe, in your life
Mhm.
who is be- becoming a beautiful woman.
Mhm.
And if she was here right now, what would you tell her about how to live her dream?
Hmm. Well, I would tell her one of the first things I always tell her is to trust yourself, trust your instincts, trust that you're enough, and if you need help, in life you really can't do anything alone. So reach out to those that are closest to you that you trust with your heart. Um, Continue to be the individual that you are. Um, Continue to follow your heart and trust yourself and your instincts. She's so good navigating high school with all the little clicky things that can happen, the relationships that can kind of go sour as you get older.
Mm-hmm.
And she's navigating it in such a real, true way that is truly Chloe. Um, Not my way, but she's found her own kind of way. And I would just tell her there's no limitations except yourself.
Mm.
And trust and believe in yourself. And you're going to fall, and that's a good thing because you learn every time.
I think those are beautiful words for her.
Yeah. I mean, the main thing is I always say trust yourself because you're on the right track, baby.
Well, thank you for
Yeah,
trusting Soulivity with telling us about parts of yourself.
of course.
Yeah,
My pleasure.
yeah. Thank you, Marja.
You're welcome.
We hope that you've enjoyed our personal interview series with Marja Vongerichten from Korea with Love. We really want to thank Marja for allowing us to share her personal story with the Soulivity community. So until next time, please stay tuned for future interviews with people just like each of you, learning to live their lives with passion and with purpose. Thank you for joining us.